sharing meets the dove, my dictionary intersects vividly, imagine now, early. Divine. I knew my time would come, but patience not my virtue. Life is funny though, jumping too fast, it should've hurt you. But the dawn is Venus's intuitive, new emotion, divine motion, ocean floating, Billy Rubin ocean. The shit, I am it, this dedicated in verbal intent, igniting the divine bars lit. Confident language, I dare you to try this. The lane switch, we tackle the abyss. Descend to ascend, straight into bend. Jamming like Ben, 3-stack, O'Farrell munchin'. Divine. 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 My black thoughts uncommon, but I got common sense. So my comma bun concomitant with comet hits. Dissect my bars to get a PhD in cunning wit. Delve in vibrations and known esoterics divine. My dialogue and verses now expanding. Divine consciousness over under understanding. Oh, the path is so demanding. And being real is uncanny. Automatons need nannies. I'll up the ante because I'm so anti. Dumb, stupid, ignorant. Come with something handy. Something I can hold. Some tangible untangies. Meanwhile, I craft balls that dangle like ear candies. D-I-V-E inside the mind of a fine wine that's aged over time. Linguistic gymnastic every time I spit mine. These lines must be read between to find the jewels hidden inside. Divine. Inspiration, needlepoint excellence, divine vibrations, you best believe it. The end conceive it, hands cleave it. I wrote my own religio, so like the script said to do so. My offsprings will have the crystalline milk flow. The honey mix, cinnamon opens the dough. To be the nigga, the ginger, the naga, pretender. Never send back if fake is the endeavor. Yes, I like cheddar, but for the expense of soul essence, never would trade whatever, whenever. Fair or storm weather, we can sing but not talk together. Cause cons get reversed or curse inside my verse. I wordsmith the game, no need rehearse. The spring burst, vernal equinox, you thirst. I thirst for more to leave your body enriched like iron ore. The divine whore I stir. I'm soft earth from now on and going forth, me and her. Divine. Divine. The barren woman becomes the virgin. The baptizer is the revelator come in person. The vicar, the wicker, kindle light flicker in the night sky come hither. In the winter where the plants wither and the earth is bitter, you will find your great potential, let the seeds enter. The ground with the feces round, the scarab beetles found. A place to lay eggs, nutrients and soil fed. Scorpio flow risen from the frozen dead. This is the word bar superb. Every noun and verb perfectly formed. I gets down, you heard. Jacob's ladder climbing out of the dirt. The work, Dogun insight. Visors and neon, excellent divine eyesight. Higher than kite, lower than lithium dick sites. We dig through plights to take red light flights at midnight. Type 5 spit right, the true essence of my life. I got a simple message, if you cite it then get it right. Cause this is divine. Peace, peace. Out there in internet world. Jamal Robinson here back again for another late night conversation. Coming to you on the behalf of 720astrology.com. A place where your soul can be edified in a multitude of ways. So get on over there and check it out, 720astrology.com. Thank you, everybody, for joining in this evening. I hope you've had a marvelous week. And now you have made it to Frigid's Day. Let your proverbial hair down a little bit, and hopefully we can
we can kick some knowledge this evening and, you know, see what we can make of things. Peace to everybody in the chat this evening. Peace, Divine Rights. Peace, That Crazy. Black Butterfly in the house. Peace. Peace, Natalia. Peace, Terry in the house. Sage. Peace, peace. So yes, indeed. So let's see the title. You know, I like to flex on these titles a little bit. So North Node in Pisces. An old mask dissolves, a new mask emerges. And I've been getting bombarded with just these downloads. And I must say that the way that these presentations are put together are truly, if I dare say, spiritual, because the way they're put together, they like this one wasn't even on my radar, and I'll explain. But just the way these things are put together, you know how these lectures get, or if you want to call these lectures, these presentations, whatever, these broadcasts, you know how they come together? A lot of times, like when we go to a store, I don't go in stores. Okay. My wife will go in and I'm sitting in the truck and I bring an office with me. I bring a book bag and I bring another huge bag with books. And that's my mobile office. And I sit in the truck and I write things down while she's shopping. And I might pull some of my books out. So that means I got to think about what books do I need to bring with me when I'm out. When I'm doing cardio, things come to me and I might have to, in the midst of cardio, pull my phone out and type something in my notes. I'm driving. I might have to voice text myself something while I'm driving. This is how the stuff comes. It's organic in a sense. You know, it's not contrived. And then sometimes it's the frustration of not being able to keep up with the thoughts because they come so fast. And these notebooks, just all types of stuff scribbled out in these notebooks. And then on top of that, you may have something that just comes out of nowhere. Like on all this stuff that already I feel like grew organically, and they have to get shoved back because something else pops up. I mean, I got stuff I want to talk about I mean, about the performer that everybody's worshiping and from the Super Bowl, and I got a person I'm going to compare him to, and I mean it's outside the box. It's some truly Aquarian stuff, you know. I got another one on miracles, but all this stuff got pushed back because we have a private Discord for our inner sanctum, right? And in that Discord, a ponderance, a stream of consciousness was conveyed, and it came out as questions. And I can't remember, and I'm not going to read it because that's part of the private share, but I will say that one word that came up that really sparked my stoked my mind was mask. And the sister posed a question like, oh, excuse me. Pose a question like, are you wearing a mask, you know, in this world? And how do you navigate a world where being your authentic self, and it was much more involved, but that's the part that really stuck out to me, the mask. And that's what I responded to. And I said, a mask is a multifaceted thing, you know, and I said, personally, I was like, okay, because I've looked into just the word mask before, right? But I decided to go and kind of down the rabbit hole a little bit about the mask and the varied nature of the mask. And this thing sent me on twists and turns. I mean, not a lot, but some things that it's going to take us somewhere that it may not seem like a conversation about masks would lead you. Okay. So as always, I ask you to bear with me because I had to gather these thoughts. And I guess now I can I just realized I still got I could just talk like this. But let's see. Okay, there we go. I come out of the shadows. So again, the title that emerged was North Node in Pisces, an old mask dissolves, a new mask emerges. So the first thing I want to look at is the word mask. And I'm going to tell you when you're dealing with something, a powerful word, when it's hard to find its origin. That's when you're dealing with something. And I just thought about something. Let me see if another one of my resources mentions anything about this word mask in here. I missed this. This one got a whole bunch. Oh, so this might end up being a part 2 or something we just go into on Sunday in our group. Look at this. This is why you get yourself multiple tools to have around. Oh boy. Okay. Well, we'll delve into that Sunday. Well, we're going to work with what I got thus far because I think it's decent. So either way, this word mask, there's not a lot you can find in your standard etymology resources. But what it did give me is that it traces back to the French masquerade, and that comes from the Italian maschera, which is a derivative of the Arabic mascara. And we all familiar with that term, mascara. So mascara is really an Arabic word. Okay. Now, in that rendering, mascara, maskarah, it points to a buffoon. A buffoon. That's strange at first, but we're gonna break this down. It also aligns in another leaning. It aligns with the Arabic sakira. And sakira refers to a burlesque, and it also refers to ridicule. So we got mascara, which aligns with the word buffoon or buffoonery. And then also from the Arabic sakira, which points us to a burlesque and to ridicule. So let's look at the buffoon part first. The buffoon, that word traces back to mean swelling cheeks, to puff out. Now, I want you to think about that before we go further. Buff is the root of buffoon, and it means swelling cheeks, to puff out. Now, at a base surface level, normally when we're talking about someone wearing a mask, and we're talking about metaphorically at a base level, we're talking about ego. And when we think ego, we're thinking of from the standpoint of ego as being something shallow. Because here's some words that correlate: mask, ego, persona, face, facade. Now, when we say things like that person's putting up a facade, connotatively, we are typically saying that person's being phony. Me and my old man used to watch these old Western movies, and they would show the old cowboys riding into town, and they would have these facades up, and it would be a facing on the front of a building that may look a little better than when you go around to the side of it. Okay. When you get to the side of it, you see that the wood may be decayed and termites and dust and whatever. Just, it may look tattered or tattered. Is that the word? Worn down. Okay. But the facade, they make it up to look a little better. That's typically how we deal with that word as it relating to the ego as something that is. And then when we say something about connotatively that person's being egotistical, we are saying that person has a false swelling or a puffing of their identity, all puffed up, all swole off. We say things like full of yourself. Okay. So now we can see how, through how language gets used, how it can correlate to one of its perceived origins, how mascara could correlate to swelling cheeks, to puff out, to be full of hot air. Think about it. Full of hot air. Okay. So that's one aspect. Then we saw that the Arabic sakira, the burlesque aspect. So the word burlesque, check this out. When you trace it back to its root, which is basically pure, which is where we get pure or pure. So the root word is spelled P-E-U-O-R, which terminates into pure. What we use is P-U-R-E. Well, P-U-R-E is also the same as P-Y-R-E. Pyrotechnic, that means fire. So fire and purity come out of the same womb, the same mother, the same family of words. So there's something in the burlesque correlating to fire or the color of flames. Now, that ain't what we typically associate with burlesque. Okay. We associate with people dressed up. When I think burlesque, I'm thinking of men dressed up in women's clothes, unless, that's what I think of. But what are they really doing? They're showing their true essence. The word essence means fire. They feel comfortable to show who they really are. So you can see an association between burlesque and fire, as in your true essence. So here we see in mask already, we see a dichotomy of polarity. We see something that possibly on one level can be phony, but on the other level, it can be true and pure. Stay with me because we building something. That's why mask is a very complex and ancient concept. Okay. Now, I also said that the Arabic sakira, in addition to correlating the burlesque, it also correlates to the word ridicule. And this word ridicule, this has a questionable origin, but what they've identified in this particular source is laugh. And the laugh as in a response to a truth. Whoa, 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 whoa. Let's try to now, you got to think when I do stuff, I'm doing a lot of deduction. I take a lot of scholastic liberty and I do a lot of inference. So this is my own deduction of putting this stuff together. So it don't mean it's right. It's just Jamal's mind. But I'm piecing this stuff together. If ridicule comes from a root that means laughter, and that laughter has to do with a response to a truth, then it means not being accepted for who you are. Because if the laughter is a response, then maybe it is one that is suggesting that the truth is not accepted. It's considered to be something of folly. So in one aspect of this word, we got something that's talking about the true essence, the fire, and a rejection of the truth. And then on the other side, we got something that's puffed up, swollen, which is a projection, and shows how we connotatively use the word facade, but they are all housed in one concept of a mask. Now I always try to impress. Our reality is complex, and we have to be nuanced in our thinking. Okay. And because this stuff is, it is, so I'm gonna give you some more information here to help show the duality of this thing. Why are we bipedal? Why do we have hot, cold, up, down, wet, dry, man, woman, goody? Everything is a dichotomy here, polarity. That's the game here. The game is to have to find resolve between two things that seem perpetually at odds with each other. And it adds a certain complexity to this reality we in. So here's a book I was able to get my hands on maybe a couple years ago, and it's called Masks as Magic. Okay. And these are not expensive, so you can, if you choose to indulge, you can get you one of these. Okay. I want to read a little bit of this. Not much. I'll start here. Let's see. Part of the genuine artist, forms of artists. Let's see. The primitive mask maker was called upon to make certain types of masks for specific occasions. Each mask he made not only had to conform in general character to ancient tribal traditions, but the face itself had to symbolize and clarify the tribal concept of a particular deity or spirit. If, for example, he made a sun god mask, it had to be instantly recognizable to all his fellow tribesmen. These were the confines or limitations within which he must work. There was, however, ample opportunity for the primitive mask maker to express his natural feeling for the design of forms, shapes, colors, and textures within the prescribed pattern of his art. He could vary and improvise. He could be resourceful in finding and using indigenous materials, and he could also call to his aid whatever skills he had acquired. Primitive mask makers, from the myriad living in the Stone Age throughout the world to the comparative handful of our own times, have used their talents and their materials with such magnificent results that the mask is now regarded as more than an interesting ethnological or anthropological artifact. It has taken its rightful and recognized place in the world of art as well. The primitive mask, especially when it is viewed in the light of the time, place, and purpose for which was made, speaks eloquently for the creative gifts of the mask maker. If you got ears to hear, they're also telling you how magic works. Listen to this. This is a sidebar, but you gotta be able to catch the jewels, even if it ain't necessarily about exactly what you're talking about. They said there was, however, ample opportunity for the primitive mask makers to express his natural feeling for the design of forms, shapes, colors, and textures within the prescribed pattern of his art. So that's the left brain. When they use prescribed, that means pre-written. Scribe means written. So he had certain parameters that they would follow, but also to use the right brain. He could vary and improvise. He could be resourceful in finding and using indigenous materials, and he could also call to his aid whatever skills he had acquired. Every skill that you have is a tool of magic. See, they use words like primitive. Primitive just means first. Primitive is prime. That means first. So these people are not idiots. These people are very advanced. But well, I'm not going to get ahead of myself. But that's just a sidebar. Much of the compelling magic and power of the primitive mask can be felt by us today. The vitality of the image, the urgent forces which promoted its fashioning, the richness and variety of invention and the use of native materials to be found among widely varying primitive artists cannot fail to stir our imagination and arouse our sympathetic emotions. We can sense the emanation of the spirit of an aloof deity, a stern ancestor, a capricious ghost, or a benevolent protector projected to us through the compelling and mobile gaze of the mask. The artistry of the mask maker, too, inspires our admiration. The feeling for design that infuses the work of the primitive artist, the sensitivity to shape and color, to sculptural form, and to balance and rhythm are often breathtaking. Living so close to nature, the primitive artist had a true and instinctive feeling for its life forces, yet he was not subservient to its external forms. While for him the abode of the spirit was the head, the intensity of his imagery led him far beyond the mere reproduction of its natural. Listen to this. While for him the abode of the spirit was the head, the intensity of his imagery led him far beyond the mere reproduction of his natural structure. It inspired him not to imitate man, but to transcend him and to materialize a power above that of man. We're talking about a mask. A mask is multifaceted. It can be something for us to just puff up and be a facade, or it can be a powerful interface. He uses the word in here, the author. He says it inspired him not to imitate man, but to transcend him. The word transcend is a Piscean word. Pisces is a sign of transcendence. It's the last sign of the zodiac. And it is when we are fusing back into everything there is. Thus, we are going across or going away from the mundane world of 3D humanity, which he transcends. So this mask, in one regard, was used as a means of transcendence. The mask maker's need to put into tangible form his emotional reaction to his subject guided his imagination and his hand to improvise, to search for the essence of the unworldly, and to reject the superficial semblance of humanity except as a point of departure. For some of us, especially in our first contact with primitive masks, the preponderance of generally unrealistic forms and the artist's emphasis on his personal feeling as well as his emotional reaction to his subject may startle or even repel us. If so, we can be helped to a degree of understanding of the primitive mind by a sympathetic awareness of the urgent need for protection, which made primitive man regard the mask as one of the most vital and persuasive instruments for the successful functioning of his earthly existence. All right. So I'll stop there. And that was just to show that in that little brief passage, the complexity of the mask. It's complex. Word that stuck out the most again, transcendence. Transcendence. So, using this as background, I wrote down some thoughts of my own about the mask. Okay. A mask can be worn to express a truth that is too vast, too complex, too involved to fit into linear understanding. Thus, its inclusion in ritual. The mask is I got one hanging up on the wall. I don't feel like taking it down. The mask plays an integral role in ritual, and ritual means arrangement. And the ritual or arrangement is a situation that is set up that is allowing for the involvement with, engagement with energies that are outside of our mental spectrum in our 3D reality. And this mask can allow us to interface. I'm getting ahead of myself with that word interface, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. The mask is inherently porous, as in it allows for fusion with the unseen. So, our skin has pores, right? And when we sweat, that's what it allows that water to leave our body and gather on our skin as a means of cooling our body down. If our pores are closed up, then that is a gateway to sickness. That's the danger of using, deodorant with metal in it and all that, closing your pores up. The pores allow the body to breathe and detoxify. So the mask itself serves as a porous structure, as it allows for fusion with the unseen. Okay. And I'm going somewhere with all this. Now, ancient man, and this is piggybacking on the book, wore masks to commune with spirit, as they lived in what Mircea Eliot calls dream time. They lived in dream time, meaning that the activity of the pineal gland was probably a lot larger. They may have actually had an actual eye up here. Frank Barr, I sent this to the group. Richard King, these are names you need to know. Richard King, Carol Barnes, Anne Brown, T. Owens Moore. Let's see, Richard King, Carol Brown, Carol Barnes, Anne Brown, T. Owens. Those are the main four I can think of right now who did a lot of research into melanin. Okay, but Richard King referenced another person that he researched named Frank Barr. And I went and found some of Frank Barr's stuff and sent it to our group. Frank Barr says it's flat out that, no, it's not Frank Barr. It's another source. I'm sorry. Another book that the third eye is literally an eye that develops and closes up. That is not a meta, it's a literal eye, or the first eye. And arguably that eye may have not closed, may have been fully functional, where we have to work to activate that in us. That ancient man, when we say dream time, these two eyes keep us in contact with this. This eye sees the unseen, what's all around that we don't see. That's this. And so ancient man wore masks to commune with spirit as they lived in what Mircea Eliot calls dream time. From this perspective, the mask is a tool of interfacing with spirit. Just as the screen on your phone or your computer allows us to interface right now, we are using a proverbial mask right now to interface with each other. I'm looking at you. The lens of my camera is a mask. It's allowing us to interface. Your computer or your phone, whatever you are watching me on right now, that phone, that screen is the interface. It's the mask. So all these different aspects of this thing. Then here's the other aspects. A mask can be a response to the inability to safely express a truth. Thus, it can serve as a means to cover wounds and maybe to hide for fear of being ridiculed or unaccepted. Remember how we started and we broke down the buffoon aspect, Arabic rendering, and then the other Arabic rendering where it ties to a burlesque and to ridicule. So a mask can be something that we wear to protect ourselves for fear of being hurt. Okay. Continuing with that, I'm gonna go here first. I'm gonna come back to this thing about the mask as protection. Because from that standpoint, the mask can sometimes become abrasive because you're trying to subconsciously, you're trying to scare off the boogeyman. You're trying to scare off the potential attacker, and you wear this mask to try to ward off. And sometimes that mask can become the puffed up aspect that we talked about, where it becomes the connotative facade, or what we think of as egotistical. Look at me and I'm da da da, you know, because when you really break it down, it's to try to protect from a wound from being re-injured. Then we have the fact that the mask, listen to this. This is where we go, take it to another level. And we start to tie into our title, which again is North Node in Pisces. An old mask dissolves, a new mask emerges. Now remember, the word transcend was mentioned in this book that I just read from. And we just touched on the fact that Pisces would be the sign of transcendence. It fuses us with something more than just this. It is when we hear that in the Lord's Prayer, on earth, our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Earth is tangible, Virgo. Pisces is in heaven. It's ethereal. It's outside of our immediate. It's mysterious. Okay, it transcends what we can touch and taste. And so the mask gestates in Pisces, but it emerges in Aries. Think about this. Aries is the natural ruler of the first house in the zodiac. Aries keywords are I am. Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars rules over knives, sharp objects, things that pierce. Your identity is a coagulation of soul stuff. Let me read what I wrote. So I don't butcher my own. I said, thus the ego, mask, persona is more than just a contrived fiction. It's an amalgam of quanta, of soul stuff that interact in a concentrated state. See, concentrated means things have been squeezed into one tight area. And when you think about a knife, the point of the knife is you have taken this, what was a wide blade, and you have brought it to a point of a concentrated point of direction and intent. Because if Aries does not consider what if, maybe, Aries' initiative is to go forth. There are 4 action signs in the zodiac: Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. Aries starts all the action. So it is the epitome of action because it is the initiator of all action. And this action is to go forth. Here, the head, Aries, Ram, head comes out of the womb first. Okay. But all of that is coming from an amalgam. The gestation is coming out of Pisces because that's the water. Where all that stuff is able to fuse and merge, and then through some type of chemical spiritual reaction to coagulate into this single point that we call Aries. Now, Aries, we associated with identity. We associate identity with ego with persona, and the word persona comes from the word mask. So that mask is more than just what we see in Aries. Is actually, you got to look back to Pisces. I'm going somewhere with this. You got to look back to Pisces, because what is happening in Pisces, which is a mutable sign, one world is ending and a new world is forming in Pisces. It's the last sign. So it is breaking down what previously was coagulated from the last time that the mask or that energy emerged in Aries, and now it has made its way back around. This is why the grand man is shown bent backwards and his head is touching his feet. That's the circle of life. His feet, the understanding, the breaking down is the understanding. You know, I'm gonna come back to that because I'm gonna come back to this. Stay with me. There is something protective about the mask at a deeper level. So deeper than just I want to protect my wounds and I want to be hurt. There's a deeper protection of the mask that the mask provides. It's deeper than just preventing hurt. That's one level. And we're not making light of it because we are all human and we all have wounds. But the mask has a deeper protective ability or purpose. It serves to protect the precious cargo. That's what the tabernacle, it says, build me a tabernacle in the wilderness where I can, where my spirit can dwell. That is what the bet is in the Aleph bet. The Aleph is the force of God coming forth. It's the ox, the work animal. It's powerful. Where I need to have a stall or a place for this ox to come and rest in. That's why the bet comes. Bet means house. Build me a tabernacle, build me a house for my spirit to dwell. Ah. Listen to this. The mask serves to protect precious cargo. The ark, all of these things, the ark, the tent, the tabernacle, all the same thing. Jesus is wrapped in what after he's born? Swaddling clothes. Same thing. Protection. Because the clothes do what? They cover. They cover. Our bodies serve as earthen vessels that carry divine substance. They carry and cover. The mask is the same as the veil. It covers. We wear clothes to cover or conceal our nakedness. Now listen to this. How did the whole saga in the 5 books of Moses, how do they begin? Adam and Eve are discovered to be naked. They're uncovered. Now you got to go into that, because that word naked really means subtle. And subtle means to be the true energy, subtle energy, the hidden energy. So this is a metaphor for their true essence is revealed. It ain't about them walking around really naked. It ain't even about no actual people. It's describing a state of existence where one's energy is exposed. It was apocalyptic. It was revelation or unveilation. The true essence is unveiled, the nakedness. And the real secret then about a mask, as it correlates to the clothes, our skin serve as a mask. Any covering is also the interface. And anytime you see a tent, you see clothes, um, you see any type of covering, guess what it's talking about? It points back to something feminine. Because each of us is clothed, and our mother knits our first clothing. This is it. All of this came out of your mother. She knitted your first clothes that would cover up your divine essence or protect it while it has a chance to gestate. So the mask is multidimensional, several purposes. Now, here's a conspiracy. The conspiracy is to retard the ability to develop a mask at multiple levels. And the conspiracy is to only have us develop what we think of a mask as the facade, as the mirage, that which is not real, that is that which is an illusion. But that's even a Piscean word in itself. Mirage is a Piscean word. But we're not thinking like that. When we think of a mask, that person we're thinking of somebody who ain't being real, somebody who's being phony. Okay. And there has been an effort to strip away the complexity of the mask. Because when you take away the richness of the mask, you take away part of our ability to interface. Remember, a mask, in addition to covering, concealing, protecting, it's an interface. It is allowing us to interface with spirit. Now, we know the mask astrologically, we would correlate to Aries. Okay. Now, we currently have the planet Saturn has moved direct couple months ago or somewhere in there. And Saturn's preparing to move and make his initial ingress into Aries, but that means it's got to finish up in Pisces. Those children born between April 1965 and April of 1969, this is a pivotal point in life. The early 65 have already had their Saturn return, I think. That's what I'm getting at. Saturn moved between Pisces and Aries from 65 to 69. Okay. And so right now we have a whole crop of people who are in their late 50s, mid to late 50s, who are either having their Saturn return or they're coming up on their Saturn return. And I'm trying to make sense of all this. Saturn, you got to think before 1930, 31, somewhere in there, Pluto hadn't been discovered, right? So in astrology, Saturn held a lot of the malefic descriptors of Pluto. Saturn dealt with the underworld and caves and caverns and hidden things, and because Saturn's the hermit. But so he got all the stuff that we now attribute to Pluto. A lot of that was infused into Saturn. Saturn was arguably more mystical and magical before the 1930s. In traditional astrology, Saturn is not just time and rigid. Saturn is he's a sea goat. So he's in two worlds, so it's something magical. But when we look at it from the standpoint of Saturn creating limits and Saturn dealing with time, there's something going on here between this transition within this group of souls that are emerging at this time, because Saturn in Pisces brings an end to an era. Okay? Because you have the end of a certain time. Pisces is the last sign. Saturn deals with time. Some cycle is ending and some new cycle is emerging. And it just so happens, though, when Saturn moves into Aries, Saturn is debilitated because Aries is a sign ruled by Mars that is about forward thrust. And Saturn puts a hindrance on that because Saturn is careful and more methodical, and Saturn wants patience. So there is this generation, 65, you know what they're the beginning of? They're the beginning of my generation, and we're called X. We're called unknown. We have an undetermined, unknown destiny, unknown identity. So you have 66, which has Saturn finishing its cycle in its transit through Pisces, and then 67, somewhere in there, it moves into Aries. And right in this phase, it's like you got these babies who have already been grafted upon them that say, hey, we don't know what they're going to be. They have no identity. They're just X. They're unknown. and they have a debilitated situation around their identity. Saturn in Aries. And Aries and Pisces are associated with the mask. And Saturn factoring in its component of limitation. There's a blockage here. There's a blockage in around the development of an identity. This, and why was it necessary though? Because what I'm gonna get into is I say that there was a concerted effort to block this identity because this generation was feared. Because these are children of revolution. These children were born out of chaos. And chaos is the precursor to a new form of order. And there was a fear around what order these children would help usher in. So they needed to be monitored very carefully. These children are born out of Uranus conjoining Pluto, which is implosive. It is something bubbling out from the innards, from the inner bowels of Earth that might come up and change a timeline instantaneously. So when you hear all these terms now about sustainability, you think that's about something about some recycling and all. No, that term sustainability is talking about managing energy. It deals with the true meaning of human resources. That's what we consider human resources, and they must be managed. And we must always look at their sustainability. Oh, no, they're getting a little too out of hand. Let's create a new socio-economic, let's give them a new name, a new title, a new movement. All these things is part of sustainability. Now, here's something to cook your noodle. There's something called a Schumann resonance. And this thing had been toyed around with since the late 1800s. But it is not until around 1963, 64, 65, that they start honing in on how to actually functionally measure. And what's the Schumann resonance? It is basically something that shows that the earth is alive. You're measuring the energetic pulse of the earth. And they had to figure out how to separate the electromagnetic noise, white noise that's emitted from all of the weather activity, and behind that find some type of ELF wave that represents this energetic wave of energy that the earth is emitting as it's bouncing off the ionosphere. That's what they're measuring, from the earth to the ionosphere. And this ain't my specialty, so I'm just giving you the Reader's Digest. They're picking up this frequency of the earth that is alive. It's alive. This thing comes into a more functional usage when these children are emerging. Now, let me tell you why this is significant. Because normally when a planet is discovered, its energy is very prevalent on the planet. So I'm using my own Jamal deductive reasoning here that Uranus is discovered, which is the planet of awakening at the time when there's French Revolution, American Revolution, Haitian Rebellion. There's a lot of a lot of dynamism in the world at this time. Pluto emerges, and here comes the rise of fascism, control, compulsivity, you know, Hitler, Stalin. This is around the time that Pluto's discovered. So I would imagine that around the time that this frequency starts to really show up to where it can be measured, it just so happens to be at a time when there's this volcanic activity that is in Virgo, which is Virgo is the stomach or the intestines. And so we're talking about the intestines of the earth. Pluto is an underworld energy. There's a bubbling in there's an upset stomach. And something's about to come up at the time that they're discovering this human resonance. This group had to be monitored. And their masks had to be tempered and tailored and tinkered with, because there was a fear of this group ever really gaining self-knowledge. Listen to this. Lyndon Baines Johnson is the president when these babies are emerging or coming on the planet. Okay? Lyndon Baines Johnson introduced something called the Great Society. And we laud the efforts of Lyndon Johnson. He signed the Civil Rights Act and all this stuff. And Johnson. Okay? Do you know that Lyndon Johnson played an integral role in creating low income housing? Now, we thought that this was being done to lend a helping hand to the less fortunate. I'm going to say these two things back to back. And you tell me if it sounds like a sequel to a movie. Coming to a theater near you, The Great Society. All right, that was part one. They shook the world in the first installment of The Great Society, and Daniel Day-Lewis comes back again in the sequel, Make America Great Again. Listen to this shit. It naturally rings as a sequel to The Great Society. The Great Society, part one, Make America Great Again, part two. You got to learn how to think from 64,000 feet. You can't, we think sometimes so concentrated on what we see right in front of us, and you can't pan out and see the big picture. You've been taught to only see what's right in front of you. So this sounds like a lunatic. But listen, this ain't rocket science. The Great Society, part one, Make America Great Again, part two. Now listen to this shit. When these babies are coming out, they were grooming them. They were conditioning them. They were creating jungles for them to live in. You hear me? They needed to bring an end to an old world in their way. You understand? And they needed to bring them into a new great society. Great for whom? Now, when these children became teenagers, this is when the next phase came in, because they needed to monitor them. 1984, 85. What did we come out with? Back to the Future. We're gonna play with time. All right. No, let me backtrack. I always have to remind you this, that in this era, I've said it in my other videos, 1966, everybody heart just sings when they think about the Black Panthers and Stokely Carmichael with Snick and all this, and you like, revolution, man. We're gonna roll up on these pigs, you know. I want you to think from the 64,000 bird's eye view. The same year that the Black Panthers were introduced, Gene Roddenberry comes out with Star Trek, and they say, we're gonna boldly go where no man has gone before. And we're gonna give you a program that we need you to play and to participate in, so you can remain while we go. Next generation. So they were already planning for 1984 and 1966, 65, 67, 68. So what would these children encounter as they start coming of age, when their hormones are popping? And hormones are when, you ever seen that movie, Invasion of the Body Snatchers? That's what happened when you become a teenager. All these hormones start waking up, you know, and next thing you know, this alien's in front of you, because these hormones have awakened. All right. And you're starting to try to figure out who you are, your identity. Okay. And so you develop a certain mask that you want to wear and show the world. I'm trying to stay and make sure I don't forget a lot of stuff. Part of the theme was for this group to get stuck in perpetual childhood. Now, I told my group about this movie. Go get it. The Brother from Another Planet. Guess when this movie comes out? 1984. Now listen to me. And now we're about to overlap generations. Let me show you what we're doing here. I got 3 generations right now that their ears need to be perked up. If you are a baby boomer who went and fought in Vietnam, I got an uncle who fought in Vietnam. My brother's father, he fought in Vietnam. Then you have my brothers who were born, and my cousin born between 67 and 69, right? So they're involved in this. And then you have the children who were born around 83, 84. You're involved. Some of y'all listening may be part of that group. All right. Now stay with me. I'm going to tie it all together. In 84, this movie comes out, The Brother from Another Planet. Movie starts. Dude comes out of this water. He's in New York. Okay. He's injured. Okay. And I'm not going to spoil the movie, but I got to tell you this part. It starts with him. He has the power to heal and fix things. Oh, man, I got to find this. Where's this thing? I wish I could just read this. Damn, I don't know where I'm trying to get my office back in order. And I don't know where I put this paperwork. I might have it. Damn it. Okay. Well, I just don't say this. When he's healing himself, there's this amber copper type of color that is emitted. What did I tell you all in previous videos about what metal is associated with Venus and associated with melanin? Copper. This guy, Frank Barr, in his research said that melanin is a master organizer. And organization is the same as harmony. And harmony is what you have when you have homeostasis or health or wellness. So there's a potential for healing. And they're showing you this with this color. Every time he fixed something or healed something, this amber copper looking color shows up. 1984, when this movie comes out, Pluto is making its ingress into Scorpio. And Pluto in Scorpio is all types of underworld activity. It's lust, it's sex, it's overpowering, it's hidden activities, it's mafioso, it's underground, underworld activities. You got the old world mafia is coming to an end at this time. They're getting popped in the head. Some of them going to prison. So that was a changing of the guard, but it's involving underworld activities. You got HIV is popping. This is when it's, and guess what else? Something called crack cocaine. All designed for them babies that were born 65, 66, 67. And they told you, we're looking to boldly go where nobody has gone before. In other words, you're going to be over here doing this, and we are working on another, like something way down the road. So, back when these babies were babies, their fathers went to Vietnam. And they got introduced to some of the finest narcotics, the best heroin, the best hashish, you know, the brown bud, what they used to call that. Oh man, Colombian gold, you know, who knows what else? Speed, you know, speed was a big thing back then. Now, Pisces deals with narcotics. So you send a group of men over to kill innocent people. And guess what the secret was? They were over there meeting people that looked like them. When you go over there in Angkor, on those amazing cities that they built, miles and miles of temples, You got people on there with wide nose, thick lips, kinky hair. So you send them over there to basically attack something that's an extension of them. You get them hooked. You bring them over here. They impregnate women. And those children possibly are born with a predisposition towards narcotics. I got a brother to this day struggling with that life, almost 60. So you see how stuff connects at a generational level? And then these children were destined to not ever grow up, so that they would be stuck dealing with one level of the mask. Well, at least that's the plan. And that mask would be, I'm gonna get me a job, I'm gonna get me a car, I'm gonna get me a house, I'm gonna da da da, and I'm about to shine on them. And and then when they become of age and it's all about, I'm gonna vote and I'm gonna, so like it would be all superficial, because you don't want that group to become anything close to what was feared of them. And they were born out of, Uranus is a planet of enlightenment, but all the revolution and all of the sudden change is also enlightenment. And Pluto is a planet of the subconscious. So there was a door that was open for a subconscious realization of one's inner power. And that had to be thwarted. And so now here we sit. We've connected these Vietnam veterans, connected these children of revolution, and now you have these children who come up in 84, 83, and they're coming up in situations where their parents may have struggled with substance abuse, because these children had a direct line to the inner chambers of their own mental processes. That's why they brought out Freddy Krueger. That's why they brought out Thriller. They needed to say, we're going to give you our version of what astrologically is unfolding. We're going to give you we're going to introduce you into the occult through our means. So that's how we'll get ahead of things. We're not going to sit back passively. We're going to, Stephen, we need you to such and such. Wes. Do you have the manuscript ready? Okay. Money's no object. Let's go. We'll start shooting next week. Get this stuff going. And now those 80s babies are becoming 40. And what is 40? 40 is a number of seasoning certain traditions. When you lose your spouse, the woman's supposed to mourn for 40 days before you come back outside. 40 weeks of gestation, 40 days, 40 nights of flooding, 40 years in the wilderness. Jesus fasted 40 days. He's tested, he's tempted. Why 40? Because 40 is the time that it takes for a season to settle in. And so this group born around this time, we have to look at how have they matured? And this is all coming back to I'm still on topic. North Node in Pisces. An old mask dissolves, a new mask emerges. What is the old mask then, Jamal? The old mask is the superficial mask. We were given several forms of superficial masks to wear and to interface with reality with. We're having to evaluate a lot of things, but at the same time, to not throw the baby out with the bathwater. No, civil rights was not a complete waste. Don't get it on. No, don't fall into the bag of absolutism. You know why? Because it gave you access to things you previously didn't have access. What was detrimental was the stripping of culture to where you got so dependent on health insurance that you forgot how to go back in the back and put something together. Now we're having to relearn this stuff. But it gave you the opportunity to have access to certain things, to plant seeds for others to come back and go back and grab things that may have fallen off the fruit truck. It's a complex thing, but we're having to shed this idea of we're gonna get out here in March and we're gonna do us a boycott. Like that's what you gotta pan out sometimes. You gotta pan out to see the big picture. We get so locked in to the immediacy that we can't pan out to see like, whoa, wait a minute. Somebody been cooking on us. The new mass, the emerging mass, the opportunity is one that allows for the higher octaves of the mask, which is the mask is worn as a cloaking mechanism. You don't need to go out here stomping the pavement and this one thing you learn about when you at this age. Man, I go places, I don't know nothing. Okay. When I was in my 30s and my early 40s, I was ready to go and drop some knowledge on somebody. Go in the barbershop. Well, brother, man, I go in, I want to relax. You know how tiring it is trying to tell a dummy anything. And I mean that when I say dummy, I mean that shit. Like it's taxing, like conserving energy. You don't want to know. I don't want to tell you. But you start learning how to choose and conserve your energy. I lost my damn train of thought why I even brought that up. I got too carried off and what was I saying about maturity, about conserving energy? But I forgot where I even was initially going with that. Mask cloaking, because you need to go out and just be, so you wear the mask of, hey, in this venue, I'm going to be this. And in another particular venue, I'm going to be this, So I'm going to put on these different masks, but it's about what is the substance that is interfacing. The mask is the interfacing unit. So how you've developed you inwardly is the real sauce. That's the secret sauce. Oh, thank you, Terry. Thank you, Terry, for the cash app. Thank you. Thank you. Um, you know, the mask now too is also when it is time to um merge with these other energies, it is the ability to be able to do it. It's the ability to be able to read your environment. And I keep reiterating this. Neptune is moving into Aries while Saturn's going to move there. Okay? So we're going to be challenged to be able to have our eyes and ears open when we are out and about, because you got to be able to, you know, the cosmos is always talking to you. It's just, are you always listening, and do you have the eyes to see? But at the same time, there are going to be blockages out here, and there are going to be hindrances, and we may feel challenged to be more courageous, you know? But what is happening, what we have an opportunity for, is the emergence of a new mask. A new mask. I'm not wearing the mask to try to hide from you, fearing that you're going to hurt me and that you won't accept me. I'm wearing the mask not out of fear. I'm wearing it out of the fact that I'm carrying precious cargo, and maybe you shouldn't be privy to it. You understand? This shit is a mindset. It's a mindset. I'm not hiding from the world. I'm not trying to shrink down so that I fit in. No, that's for children. And I'm not trying to wear a mask to make myself look to be more than what I am. Can I need to jump off and derail for. I look there's a I go to the gym and I people watch, and I can look at people and tell their level of confidence. There's this one little guy. He's a shorter guy, but he wants to be the gym player. And I watch how he goes around and he wants to try to converse with, be seen talking to some of the better looking women. And when he walks by me, he walks by with he has an air of disgust when he walks by. Not disgust, but like he just I can't. I can feel I can feel his energy. Like he got a he don't like me. Like he got a. And I'm the type. I don't speak to many people. I find me a corner. I stay to myself. And um this little fellow wants to be seen by everybody. But a lot of times when you're not trying to be seen, you stand out the most. And what I see with him is he got low self-confidence. He got low. I can read it. I can read it. It ain't there. You know how I learned this from women. I learned this from, and this was a woman who was born in 1967. She say, you walk around here like you think you're better than everybody with your chest stuck out. And I learned that shit was intriguing to women, because good looking women are accustomed to somebody running up in their face all the time and telling them, you gorgeous, you fine. But what happens when they're not being paid no attention to? And she was intrigued by that shit. That you feel like whatever you got going on with you is so whatever it is that you ain't necessarily worried about. And it's not trying to be stuck. It was just like, no, motherfucker, I got some shit going on with me. Why the fuck do I need to run up and chase behind any, And that shit's intriguing. That's the mask. That's the mask. The mask is supposed to be, I'm protecting my energy. I don't need to go and solicit yours. I want to make sure you're worthy of me allowing you to be in involvement with my energy. That shit's attractive because that tells a person this motherfucker got something going on with him, or she got something going on with her. She ain't up in everybody's face. Everybody ain't worthy of my energy, of my attention. That's the mask I'm talking about. You see how this shit cuts across all lines. We've been talking metaphysics now. This should even come down to your social or your romantic life. What mask are you wearing? It's a difference between wearing a mask where you're trying to look a certain way and that shit being real. Like, I really fucking love myself. I really value my energy. Don't come touching my hair. Don't come fucking putting your hands on my hair. Don't come tapping on me. If I didn't invite that, I didn't invite you to come touch me. It's precious cargo. It's about self-love. It's about purpose. Your mask should be to protect you because you on a mission. You got shit to do. And if I commune with you, it's because it's a privilege. I mean that shit. It ain't about being arrogant. That's the shit you got to be on. You got to be on that type of time. But the facade, that shit is, let that go. It's a difference between trying to boast, and man, people know. And you can be humble and confident at the same time. Don't misconstrue what I'm saying to be like, this is not, I'm a humble person. Because my humility is, I don't feel like I have the right to walk in a place and you got to see me and you got to know I'm there. I feel like I should go in and leave people alone. You don't have the right to force your presence on other people. That's the child facade that they created for us as a collective, as humanity. Created us to be perpetual children. Look at me, hear me, see me, love me. Perpetual fucking toddlers. So, choose which type of mask you rocking with. Straight up. And don't wear the mask for fear of the ridicule. Wear the mask not out of state of fear, but out of state of love. A mask created by a master craftsman is infused with love. A mask created by a neophyte is created out of fear and lack of knowledge. Dive into yourself like it's a religion. Because if you know yourself, you love yourself. And that mass starts being created, and that mass is powerful. And it allows you to interface, and control your environment. So it's 12:11. Hey, I'm doing pretty good tonight. It ain't 2 a.m. in the morning. I know I went off on a little tangent there, but I be observing people in life, and it just sometimes I wish I could just give people some game. Just like, look, man, just stop doing that. Stop it. You can tell who wasn't shown attention as children, and you can. Oh, man, gym is an amazing place, man. It's amazing stuff you see, but summarizing, we've looked at the 65 to 69, a culminating period, then 84, and then leading up to now. And if you see now, the mask as a facade, that aspect of it is just, it ain't being peeled, it's being ripped off. That's what I keep trying to tell people. All that stuff we see with, thank you, that crazy. Thank you for the Cash App. Thank you much. All that stuff we see with the current administration is what people don't realize. This stuff been going the whole time. The mask is being pulled off just to show what really has always been. It's just the only thing is it's just coming straight out and saying it, and we're seeing things as they are. And I'm gonna tell you something else. Part of ripping the mask off is you have to realize that your heroes don't exist. That's the Pluto in Aquarius opposing where it was in Leo. Leo is the sign of superstars, celebrity. And people are still worshiping celebrities and superstars. And look at you crazy because you don't. You mean to tell me you're not on the bandwagon like everybody else? You're a hater. It's sad. It's sad. What do you think Pluto and Aquarius is? This ain't the era of the superstar or the Jesus or the Mahdi where you cast all of your frailties onto something else to bear the burden for you. A scapegoat. No. It's about you have to become that which you have worshipped. That's also part of ripping the mask off. And you have to see these characters for who they really are, which is supposed to point back at you to say, oh man, it was supposed to be about me the whole time. So I'm trying to think, is there anything else I wanted to say about any of this? Did I cover all I hope I'm sure I'll go back and listen and be like, man. So y'all in here cooking. Against the grain. Terry said, I feel that strong with Saturn 11th. I'm always going against the grain. It's indeed. It's big time for y'all. Yours is coming up, Terry. Let's see. 72 said, I think the main thing is to stop seeking. Eating is beneath our feet. That's indeed. I'm gonna give y'all a little. I'm gonna do a video that is going to look at our good brother Kendrick, the new Jesus Christ. And it's going to be a little different because I'm going to juxtapose him with another character. And I'm going to show you how these two unlikely characters are similar. That'll be an interesting one. So yeah, let's see. Let's see. We're gonna wrap it up. We might throw. Let's say this too before we. Let me do something. Let's see. Where am I at here? I gotta start. I'm gonna be putting up I just did a podcast with the company that design my website, do my maintenance for me. I'll be putting that up on my channel. But I want to share for those of you all who may be new to the space. This is the site, 720astrology.com. You notice up here, I have Klarna and Affirm. So if your money's a little funny, you can come in and get services and not have to worry about putting yourself in a bind. But go to the website and check out all these offerings we got here. This is about me. But here's with all our offers, all the readings here. Coaching. This is, you can click on Study Club if you want to get the bundle. This is the bundle here, all right? The bundle has new stuff in it now. I added in the Grand Man here. You see this the Grand Man, it gives you breakdown of the zodiac and how each sign aligns with the body. And this is an updated version of the Grand Man. Normally you see these kind of hand-drawn pictures in these old books, and so I got an updated version here and a little blurb for each one to give you just a overview of what these signs deal with in the body. Yeah. So yeah, all my readings are here. Get over there and check it out. And holla at me if you got questions. info@720astrology.com. And let's see, let's get back to. Thank you, Black Butterfly. All right, y'all. All right, Terry. Thank you for tuning in. And we're gonna get ready to I might throw on something since it's Friday night. We might do our normal ritual here. I might throw on something real quick, then we'll get out of here. Let's see. What we got? I don't know if I can fast forward this. They give me problems when I play the intro on this one. Hold on. All right.
Yo. Risen from the Ma'afa, the reincarnation of Labib Mustafa, the king of the opera, subject of the saga. There's pain in my presence, power in my essence, experience through my lessons. Globetrotter, soul spotter, stargazer, Elohim, Shabaka, stone praiser. Ancient sips from the chalice to cup the grail. Tell the stories of my glories from the depths of hell. Oh well, as the pages of my book turn, I burn like ether, ashes in the urn. Sprinkle me, I return as a freedom fighter, overstand the truth writer, lighter, or the catalyst, maybe antagonist, mathematicist, sacred geometric strategist, the builder, protractor, seeing panoramic views of animus, analyzing anarchists as the pianist puts melanin to scale. Inhale, tell me what you smell. This is one eye focusing through the gnosis. Meditate, levitate over primal oceans, to medicate, educate over foolish notions. Now you overstand kings and queens and no quotient can divide you. I will find you, and I will hide you in the depths of my soul. I've been running for a long time. 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 But now I stand. But now I stand. But now I stand. But now I stand. But now I stand.
It's probably the fact that he never knew his dad that made this young man grow up so mad with clouded eyes instead at the hand he was dealt. Pep taught him he couldn't depend on nobody but himself. And with that mindset, he laced his Converse and hit the hard top hustle until his feet hurt. Nickel sacks and paper bags with wine bottles burst to numb the pain of feeling trapped inside an evil curse. He watched his mother suffer at the hands of suckers and vowed that when he became of age, he would turn the page. 16 and full of rage like a beast from cage, he pulled that 32 and held it to her boyfriend's face and said, if again you place your hands on my mother, I put 6 in your chest and soon the dirt will cover your ass, and grass will replace the space you inhabited. Disrespect, I ain't having it. Like listening, I got a story to tell. If you feel like listening, I got a story to tell. At high school graduation, he started contemplating how to be a man, so he chose to serve his nation. Joined an army so he could be all he could be, but soon found himself in the jungles of Vietnam, smoking hash and weed. Friendships abruptly ended as he watched his buddies bleed, as the souls took the death walk to the final destinies. He had a good head on his shoulders, but understandably eventually the sight of the capities drove him close to lunacy. So he needed something stronger to help him medicate. So heroin they put in his veins just to sedate. Who am I to judge? I never carried his weight. He came back home to the States greeted by the same hate that he experienced before he left. Ain't there something? The LSD rushing and his adrenaline pumping. But Peggy prayed for him. She always knew he'd do better. June soon would prove her right. Here's the sign letter. Listening, I got a story to tell. If you feel like listening, I got a story to tell. My dearest Peggy, something strange happened this week. I met a man who said he knew a man and said that we should meet. They said his name was Allah, and all I had to do was be meek and humble myself, and he would provide the answers that I seek. We went to this temple, but they call it a mosque, where men and women pray and worship the one true God. Well, since I've been going, I'm sure you'd be glad to know I stopped using them drugs and my skin even seems to glow. I wish you were here to see it, bet you have a smile on your face, but that's yourself sticking on my part. I know you're in a better place. Well, I know you're busy, just know you can't be replaced. Your memory's forever with me and you can't be erased. And yeah, mama's doing fine and Sandra is okay. She's married with a family now and making her own way. And when my time is up, I hope he prepared the place for me in paradise so we can hug and embrace. If you feel like listening, I got a story to tell. If you feel like listening, I got a story to tell.
Those who put themselves on the line to help with the uplifting of fallen humanity during this time of turmoil will be remembered. Keep that in mind.
Happy soul
Those
return.
who have the courage to stand against the odds and tell the truth in this time of turmoil, where the dark priesthood and vampires are at the height of their power and are attacking anything that deals with the activation of the pineal gland, or with justice, or with that which is right, or anything that's de jour, or anything that is Moorish. Keep in mind, those who aid in the help of uplifting fallen humanity will be remembered. Those who aid in the help of uplifting fallen humanity will be remembered.
These footprints don't need no consent. Lord of the earth, sea, and continents. The gods see consonants as condiments. Sprinkle balls with special sauce and common sense. The Moorish legacy is prominent. Universal tongue DNA is dominant. The domicile is the earth lying reticent. Till the feds emerge, approach with proper etiquette. We the children of Baka and Saba. From the valley Indus Kush to Sri Lanka. From Nubia to East Oakland to the Bahamas. The legacy legendary, though the trauma has placed a pause on the greatness like a comma.
No.
Moorish legacy.
Who I am.
Moorish legacy.
I know.
Moorish legacy.
Who I am.
Aladdin, Aladdin, genie in a bottle. A lamp light shines and accelerates like a throttle. We took the fire from the netta and coddled the world through Hebrew milk as it toddled. Phoenician tongue climbed like the ladder's rungs. The plumb line hovered over water, then it hung. Aramaic, Greek, Sanskrit for the Hindi. Now the only Latin on Balenciaga and Fendi. Non-affiliated indie. Pendant is the ball, so they breathe steadily. The word when spoken can be life-giving or degenerating handy.
is a pen standing upright manly, but not P-Hall, whether big or small, ye still must ball. He rise up tall, she grows it all. Protect with pause, game goals don't stall. Flame on, yes y'all.
I know
Moorish legacy.
who I am.
Moorish legacy.
I know
Moorish legacy.
who I am.
When your feet on concrete, you stand calmly. No dirt bags or scabs can harm thee. When flesh is in the air, all the vultures start swarming. They eat meat and greed, don't flee. Instead, stand middle of the street, test me. The words that you utter with conviction, don't stutter. If them want war, it's given from a Merkaba-like body prism. And the shift they can feel when it hit them, it might make the heart beat a new rhythm. They can fall down and give thanks for what has been given. Moorish legacy is the land that we live in. Moorish legacy is the land that we live in.
All right, we're going to do one more. I'm going to get out of here. I appreciate y'all, your positive energy, taking the time to listen in this evening, commenting, sharing, hitting that like button, subscribing, all that good stuff. We're going to roll out with this one. Milan Fashion Week.
This cloth, similar to Egyptian cotton, worn by an old Yemeni while salatin. The 5 pillars became the 5-finger discount. Stolen by lost souls, couldn't find a way out. Fortunately, she found fine linens in the 9th inning. A Roman centaur with his cohorts tried to tear her garments apart. Etruscan habit, ascot, like a ship captain, dry scotch. Rumor is she got family ties in Suma and Tulsa, okay, minus the Sooner. Under the moonlit night, we serenade the goddess. Crooner, sidebar, the devil can't hurt you, only make you harm yourself. Kruger, mountain cougars, roam the west side of NC. Rugers, we're no longer juniors, we are seniors in our class. Eons have passed, shards of broken glass come together like satin threads. Milan Fashion Week. Yeah. On runways, guns blaze, cannons and Nikons, place images in cage. Onlookers express fake rage, so concerned about the fact she hasn't eaten in days. The price of high fashion. Eastern Germany handler keeps the dame dashing. Several factions clashing. They all want in on the action. Between wardrobe changes, the weight of the world leaves certain anguish. Jet setters dine on, smoked salmon, rice, pilaf in meat lawn. Red wine, dry blood drips on. Milan Fashion Week. Drugged in a residence, found face down and Trueless left no evidence. At least they thought so. They overlooked the P-code, colored P-coat, the last trace of a royalty. The pedigree is obvious, a chaos is orderly. Awful paradox, still she loyally dredges on with the soil and flees. Plutonian, scorpionic is a jabs. Underworld, chthonic just below the Ave. Ma'ati in, Sabat in them, the bottom at the top again. Question is the ration fair you portion them? Probably not. Milan Fashion Week. She's so angry, that's how media label her. When she finally starts to stir, when her life's on review, the synagogue of Satan sits on the front pew. Always got a hand in every plot, hand in every pot, hand in the ass, prostate or not. Prostrate she will not. Apocalypse, this is her shot to balance scales. This won't be one hell. of a story to tell. Milan Fashion Week. Milan Fashion Week. The best stories full of irony. Until the end it seemed that the victor would sink his ivories deeper in the flesh. Vital force sucked until there is nothing left. But then dramatic change ushers in a new era. The main character's revelation, no mascara. Under the gorgeous skin and beautiful grin lurks a fire that burns hotter than the scorching sand of arid desert land. In quiet, her soul draws nearer. She's surrounded by several mirrors. Through anger, sadness, and streaming tears, she cries, she scries. Divinating, there is no fear, just focused eyes. Kali Yuga, no more Uber. Instead, sweet chariots fly that are made from fire. So when chambers echo, she reply. Her fruit hangs low enough to reach high. Feet earth and head is sky. Arms stretch, oceans comply. Winds blow by, rustle leaves on trees. Every root, every stem through her breathes. Through every womb she conceives. Every thought that comes and leaves is her. So with the goddess we confer. And when we concur, it's all beautiful. Milan Fashion Week, the throne is now suitable. Milan Fashion Week, the throne is now suitable. Milan Fashion Week, the throne is now suitable. Milan Fashion Week, the throne is now.